at the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan that took place 1 year ago. So let's bring in Florida Congressman, Army veteran Greg Steube. Welcome to Victory News. We're at 1 year, sir, since the 1 year mark here when Joe Biden's chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. Congressman, are we safer from terrorism thanks to those actions?
Well, we're definitely not safer. In 1 year from the withdrawal, when this president said he was going to get all of our citizens out, and we still have citizens, not just that interpreter and allies and people that worked with military armed services in Afghanistan that helped us fight the Taliban, not just them that are still left there. We have American citizens who want to leave Afghanistan that have still been stranded. And not only the human toll, but you also have the taxpayer and military toll on equipment, weapons, and otherwise. We left $84 billion worth of military equipment and weapons in Afghanistan that are now in the hands of a globally recognized terrorist organization.
Right. So how do we get those Americans out of there that are there and want to leave?
Well, the current administration has abandoned them. We've pulled all of our assets out of Afghanistan. I've had the opportunity to ask Secretary Blinken in hearings 6 months ago, and he can't give you a straight answer. They say they're working with these individuals. We have email addresses while the Taliban is shutting down the economy, shutting down communications. We don't have assets in Afghanistan that are helping us with eyes on the ground or intelligence or any of that. So I don't know how they're actively trying to get these individuals out. What we should do is go back in militarily, get all of our military equipment or destroy it. I mean, we have the ability with drones and otherwise to just destroy all of it. Weapons, ammunition, tanks, all of these things that we left, at the very least, we should destroy that so it doesn't get in the hands of the terrorist organization. But we should have brought that back when we left and not abandoned it there.
Or taken into China or Iran or somewhere else that they can take it apart and figure out how it works. Now, Congressman,
well, that's exactly what the Taliban's doing.
Yeah, Congressman, you said the FBI needs to be held accountable for their actions in the Mar-a-Lago raid. Tell us why and what, as citizens, what can we, the people, do about this?
You know, there's so many issues with this raid that raise so many questions. From the very perspective of you have a weaponized DOJ that is headed by Joe Biden as the president of the United States, who's not only going into and raiding the former home of a president, a home of a former president, but the #1 contender to take Joe Biden on in 2024. He's the #1 contender to take on their political rival. And you have the DOJ not being transparent with the American people as to why they're actually raiding the home of the former president. They're still litigating against opening the affidavit for the public view. What are they trying to hide if they don't want the legal basis of why they raided the home to be open to the American public so they can actually see there's at least being a crime that's being investigated? And they're not being forthcoming with the American people. And that's why so many people are rallying behind President Trump right now, because they're seeing the displacement of justice, the disequality of justice based on political parties.
We're just a little over a couple of months away from an election, and violence has gone wild. You're posting about it. We're not hearing a lot of Republicans talk about a winning strategy, which is the violence in cities. You posted a video of a mob robbery of a 7-Eleven. It's just insane in Los Angeles. And you said this doesn't happen in Republican-led cities. And I agree with you. Why is that, Congressman?
Because Republicans stand for law and order. If something like this was happening, law enforcement would be called. They would be there immediately, and all of these individuals would be prosecuted and not let out in jail. In California, this was LA, in California, in New York, in Minneapolis, and other these democratically run cities, all of these individuals, if they're even arrested, would immediately be released. They would never be held accountable for the crimes that they are committing and that they have committed. You have Democratic vice president candidate, when she was the candidate, actually raising money to bail protesters who are committing violent crime out of prison. You don't see that in Republican jurisdictions because we are about law and order. And I think you're going to see a reckoning this midterm election because the average American, the majority of Americans, want law and order in their communities. They want their children to be safe. They want to live in communities that are safe, and not the type of things that you were seeing in that video.
Congressman, you're correct. That's a winning strategy if the Republican leadership will take it this fall. Jake Tapper asked Adam Schiff a question that none of us wanted to hear. Here it is.
Would you want to be leader of the House Democratic Caucus? Well, first, I think the speaker has been truly the most impressive, incredible, and productive speaker in our history.
Now, there's a choice, Congressman. Nancy Pelosi or Adam Schiff. That ought to light a fire for the midterms.
I hope it does. The most progressive, most radical ideology and policies that we've ever seen in the history of our nation.
Yeah, Congressman Stubbe, let me ask you this. The Republicans talk about having hearings should they take over in November. A lot of Americans are upset that we have hearings, but no one's held accountable and there's no penalty. Will that change?
It's going to change when the Republicans take the majority back and we have the ability to do oversight. We have the ability to do investigations. And God willing, there'll be an election in 2024 that's going to put a Republican in the White House that actually is going to do a DOJ that actually is going to be fair and justice for all and have justice for all of these atrocities that have occurred in our country.
Congressman Greg Stubbe, the winning pitcher in the congressional baseball game from Florida, thank you for being with us. Thank you for your service to America, sir.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Mike?